Hi, this is Yingge from Art of the Brush. In this video, we will introduce the tools and the materials that we will be using during Oriental brush practice. As important as learning the painting skills, to have the proper tools and materials is also very important. Not only because of different quality and types suits different painting, but also when a practitioner get to know and used to some brushes or materials, you will feel you start to make a new friend. So traditionally, there are 4 things you need to know to do the Oriental brush practice. It's called in Chinese, 文房四宝. 四 is 4, number 4. 宝 is treasure. So it's the 4 treasures of brush painting practice. And these 4 are very well known as 笔墨纸砚. And that comes from very ancient times, more than 2,000 years ago. However, after generations and generations, the materials we are having now are slightly different. There are more varieties and there are more inventions that build on the old ones. So in this video, we will cover the tools and materials for the brush painting in different situations. For example, when you are a beginner, you just get into the brush practice. Or when you are doing daily practice, maybe you don't even need to use ink. When you are doing calligraphy painting or brush painting in different topics. Okay, are you ready? Let's dive in. Here are the 3 items that we use for the basic warm-up and brush exercise. Yes, you're right. There's no ink, so we only use fresh water to practice. You may ask, how? And that's the answer. That is made like the ancient paint scroll. This is a reusable writing mat that we use water to practice on the surface, that it will disappear after a few minutes, so we can come back and practice again using the same surface. Some of my practitioners told me they put this in their office or at the desk. So whenever they have a chance during the meeting's break, they roll it out and just use the water, and they will do a few strokes and to feel relaxed and grounded. And here, these are the basic items you can start to practice East Asian calligraphy with ink. And now I will introduce them one by one. First, let's talk about brushes. So there are many different brushes, different sizes. From ancient time, in tradition, there are only 2 types. Can you see the difference? Directly you can see the different colors and the brush strength, the hair. And that's right. So traditionally, there are hard brush and soft brush. So for this type of brush, it has brown hair. So traditionally, it's made from animal hair, for example, weasel, horse, or even rabbit. The color are typically brown, and if you flap it with your finger, they have very good resilience and flexibility. It's good to paint sharp lines, for example, calligraphy lines and bamboo leaves. So the tip flip back very quickly. And the other one is this soft hair. It's made with sheep hair or goat hair. It's very soft, and also it has the ability to absorb a lot of water and ink and carry it in the brush. It's good for brush painting like birds and flowers, and also to apply colors and doing the renderings or color wash. One way to choose a brush is to put a finger in the brushes And you can see it forms a nice edge, the line at the bottom. And when the brush is wet and damp, it forms a nice tip at the top. And that are the qualities of a good brushes. Is there a way to combine these two qualities together? The answer is yes. So later, there's a new invention that's called a combined brush, a mixed brush. If I open the brush tip, you can see inside there is the brown hair and outside are the soft hair. This type of brush combines the two qualities from these two types of brushes, and is one of the most useful brushes that I find both in calligraphy and brush painting. And for the purpose of calligraphy practice, I will recommend this type of brush to start with. You can choose a brush with a hair between 3.5 to 4.5. Now we will talk about ink. Here I will mention three types of ink: the solid ink, bottle ink, and color ink. This is the black ink in the bottle. It's liquid, so you can use the ink straight from the bottle by pouring it in a container. It's very simple and easy to use. You can start your practice in seconds. So I will recommend this for anybody who would like to start to try brush practice. It's a more accessible and affordable option. Now we will introduce ink stone and ink stick. The ink stones comes with different shapes. Some has nice carvings, some are square and plain. The way to judge and choose an ink stone is not just by the design, it's about how the stone is made. A good ink stone will be able to produce nice and fine inks when we grain it on the surface. These two are ink sticks. The process of making ink sticks takes month after month. And in general, there are two types of ink sticks. The first one is called sumie. Once it's grained, the ink has slightly blue effect. It's very nice to do ink painting, including landscape painting. And another type is called xuan. When we grind this ink, you will get the ink is very bright, has a reflection. It's very good for practicing calligraphy. To store them, we should wipe them clean and air dry and keep them separately. Ink stick is one of the favorite materials for Oriental practitioners, not only because of its elegant design and the nice smell of nature, but also because of the process of grinding ink is a process of relaxing and meditating. Another advantage of the ink stick is that when you are meeting traveling restrictions, you can put an ink stick in your pocket. Ink containers are to hold pure black ink. So here I have the two are both ceramic. One is a small dish and another one is a small ink container with a brush pillow. This is to hold the brush during the practice. Right side, this is a normal drinking cup. It has a very long, tall body. The reason why I recommend this type of jar is when we load the brush with water, our brush will be slightly tilted. So when we are loading, you can see my brush can get in touch with the water fully. And instead, when I have to dip in, I'm mainly tapping at the brush tip. If you just first start to practice calligraphy and don't want to get too entangled with materials, you can start with this A4 paper or even with the newspaper. It's good enough to let you to get the feeling of the practice. However, when your practice progress, you may like to try rice paper or xuan paper. So Xuan is a city in China where ancient time is very well known for producing xuan paper. Here I will briefly introduce these three types of paper. Traditionally, there are two types. One is called shengxuan, that is the raw xuan paper. And another one is called shuxuan, the sized, or they say cooked xuan paper. The difference between these two is the process. So the raw xuan paper is not treated. It's soft and very absorbent. It is useful for different types of brush painting, especially freestyle painting. And the shuxuan, the size, the paper, has been treated, so the surface is not very absorbent. This type of paper typically used for gongbi style. That is a very fine, detailed style of painting. And in the middle is called semi-sized xuan paper. It combines the qualities of the raw xuan paper and also the sized xuan paper. It's very beginner friendly. It can be used for calligraphy or ink painting. If you have the above materials, you're already very well prepared to start your East Asia calligraphy practice. And here are some additional materials you may like to add on your calligraphy practice. Wool felt. They come with different sizes and different colors. And you can also find some white ones or the one with guidelines. When we use rice paper, we place a wool felt under the rice paper to protect the surface. And it helps to keep the ink on the rice paper. The only thing to mention here is if you are using a wool felt that has a dark color, you just need to be aware that when the painting is wet and damp, the color tends to be darker. So when it's dry, it will be much lighter. Paperweight is a heavy object, typically is made from wood or metal. Alternatively, you can also use something you can find in nature, like a rock with a flat surface. We can put the rocks at the corner, at the edge of the page. It also works very well. With the difference between the brush painting the tools and the calligraphy tools, first are the brushes. This brush set is called the Four Gentlemen brush set. As you can see from the name, it's selected the brush size and type based on the training topic called the Four Gentlemen, bamboo, orchid, chrysanthemum, and plum blossom. There are two bigger size and two smaller size. And on the bigger size, this one, the brown hair, is called orchid bamboo brush. It's good for straight lines, for example, bamboo leaves and orchid leaves. This one is called the middle way. It has a combined brush hair. It's useful for painting bamboo stems and plum trees and surface such as leaves on the chrysanthemum. And the smaller one, this one is called happy dot. It's for painting fine details and small lines. And this one is called the small white cloud. For example, we use this brush to paint plum flower petals. A second is the water jar. When we're doing brush practice, there may be times we need to rinse the brush completely and load the ink or colors again. And then is the plate. I have an extra plate. Actually, sometimes you can have one or two or even more plates, depends on the colors and inks you choose to paint. These dishes I use to mix different ink tones. Also, you like to have a paper towel, and this is to wipe away the water or ink on your brush. Aside from the basic tools and materials I just mentioned above, there are also some additional things you like to try as you progress on this journey. When your painting skills are start to progress, you may like to bring in some extra brushes. I have here, this one is a soft brush. This two bigger brush is very well used for applying colors in landscape painting or freestyle birds and flowers type of painting. Colors. Here I will introduce 3 types of colors we use in Oriental brush painting. So first one is this type you can find easily in the market. It's very easy to use. You can use the color straight away from the tubes. And this is also the most affordable way. There are different brands of this type of colors. And this one is recommended by the Chinese Artists Association, which I found the color are very nice and close to the natural colors. Yes, so the second one, they comes in chips. So in general, the Chinese colors are either plant-based or mineral-based. As this one, it comes from a sap from a plant. And those ones are from rocks, grained to very fine details, the powders. So originally the colors are mainly stored in powders. And when the powder are mixed with some glue and dried again, then we got these chips. When we use it, we add some water or warm water to let the color dissolve. And then we can get the pigment to paint. However, it does require time to prepare them before you use them, and also to air dry and keep them well after you use them. The most used colors in the painting is Teng Huang. They are all color-coded, so whichever brand you use, they are the same color code. That's the yellow. And Shu Hong, that's 390. And the blue, Hua Qing. So these are the 3 main colors as they are the primary colors. However, the Chinese colors, the primary colors, are not based on the watercolor palette, as the Chinese colors are slightly different. They are not pure yellow, pure red, or blue. It combined with some slightly earthy feelings. And then the mineral color as Shiqing, 493, and Shilü, and Zheshi. The 3 colors are mineral colors. They are very well used in landscape painting. The last one is the color stick. Just to keep in mind, each color when we grain them, we need a separate inkstone, as when we grain the colors, some pigment will get into the inkstone, so we keep them separately when we grain them. These 3 different type of colors, when we use them, we use different type of materials. For example, the tubes, you can use those plates with different sections. For me, I like to use a bigger plate, and that's how my teacher showed me. And for the chipped color, we use separate sections, each color and each section for itself. You can also use separate containers to store each color. And for the color stick, we will grain them in the color stone. However, remember to separate each color, each inkstone. Brush holder, or the brush pocket, is made with a small bamboo blanket with pockets, so you can slide your brushes inside and then roll it up. This is very handy when you're traveling or to store your favorite brushes. These are the stamps carved off the artist's name or some phrases that you like to stamp on your artwork. Typically, the stamp is made of soft stones. And here's the one that I made. And this is the stamp here. And that's a size 2 by 2. And that's the meaning. And that's a wedding gift. And here, this is the red ink pad. It's typically come in a dish like this. The color is bright, shiny, reflects lights. When you first open a new stamp, it comes like a flat with a small gold leaf on the top. And you will find there is a small stick come with it. And this is to mix the red stamp. So the Chinese red stamp, it also has a long history about the process, how to make it. It contains not just the minerals, but different ingredients, including herbs, powdered pearls, and gold leaves. So that's why when we stamp it on the artwork, it stays for thousands of years. To use the stamp, we hold the stamp at the right way when you stamp on the painting, and then we tap the stamp around on the red ink to make sure all the stamp covered with the red ink. We'll talk about Oriental brush painting supplies. We'll enter into a different world. There are so many different options. However, based on what's the process you are at this moment, you can choose the material that suits you at this stage. And when you start to progress later or want to try different types of painting, and then you can add the materials you need. The most important thing is enjoy and have fun. Thank you for watching. I see you soon.